True peace doesn't come from what we have, but from God. In John 14:27, Jesus promises, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you." The word can bring temporary calm, but only God can give you lasting and eternal peace. Don't seek peace from temporary things. Seek it in His presence.
It happened on a Tuesday. Not a dramatic day, just another ordinary, tired, coffee-fueled, slightly chaotic Tuesday. The kind of day where you don't expect anything divine. But that's when grace found me. I had just messed up. Again. Not the kind of mistake people forgive quickly. It wasn't public, but it was real. And it left me hollow. I felt like I had let everyone down. My family, my church, myself, and most of all, God. I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel like it could hold me together. I remember whispering, "God, I don't even know what to pray. I don't think you want to hear from me right now." And then, without warning, a thought broke through the fog. This is exactly when I want to hear from you. It wasn't condemnation. It wasn't anger. It was mercy. That's the scandal of grace. It doesn't wait for you to clean yourself up. It walks right into the mess and says, "I'm still here." We often think grace is for the beginning of faith, like it's the door into Christianity. But after that, it's all up to us to behave, to perform, to prove ourselves. But grace isn't just the entry point, it's the foundation. It's the structure. It's the roof over your head when the storms hit. In Luke 15, Jesus tells the story of a son who squandered everything. And when he finally came to his senses and walked home, he didn't find a disappointed father with arms crossed. He found a father running to meet him. That story isn't just a parable, it's a picture of God's heart. Because the truth is, you don't earn your way back to God. You just turn around and find out He was already running toward you. The next few weeks after that Tuesday were strangely quiet. I didn't receive some dramatic miracle or instant fix. My situation didn't magically reverse, but something deep within me started to soften. I no longer felt the pressure to pretend. I found myself opening my Bible, not to earn points, but because I wanted to hear His voice again. I began writing prayers that were messy, raw, sometimes confused, but honest. And every time I showed up in that space, grace was already there waiting. There's something powerful about grace that meets you in the in-between, in the not yet fixed, in the tension. We often rush to resolution. We want the redemption story tied with a bow. But grace is patient. It doesn't push, it simply stays. One morning I read Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And I wept, because for the first time I didn't feel disqualified by my brokenness. I felt seen in it. There's a lie many of us believe, especially in faith communities, that if we're struggling, we must be doing something wrong. That maybe God is distant because we disappointed Him. But Scripture tells a different story. Over and over again we see Jesus drawing close to the weary, the wounded, the ones others passed by, the woman at the well, the man on the mat, the thief on the cross. None of them had it together, and yet they were the ones He spoke to, healed, embraced. I remember walking into church one Sunday, still battling shame, still unsure if I belonged. But during worship I heard the words, "You don't have to come perfect, just come." And I knew it wasn't just the worship leader talking. It was the Spirit of God reminding me, grace is still grace, even now. The longer I walked with grace, the more I realized something surprising. God wasn't asking me to fix everything. He was asking me to trust Him with everything. And that includes the parts of my story I'd rather skip, the moments I want to forget, The failures I try to bury. Grace doesn't just glance at those moments. It redeems them, not by pretending they never happened, but by showing that even in those places, He was present. I started noticing how often Scripture speaks of God meeting people in the middle of their pain, not after it. David wrote most of his Psalms in caves and chaos. Paul penned letters of hope from a prison cell. Jesus met people in storms, in sickness, in grief. And maybe that's what makes grace so radical. It doesn't wait for the story to get pretty. It enters when it's still messy. One night, I looked at my journal, page after page of prayers that had once been filled with fear and failure, and I realized they had become altars, reminders, testimonies, not of my strength, but of His. Grace had turned my weakness into worship. Friend, maybe you're in that space right now, the space where shame tries to silence you, the space where you think your mess is too much. But here's what I need you to know. Grace is not intimidated by your story. It's written for it. You haven't fallen too far. You're not too late. You haven't missed it. God's love is not waiting for a better version of you. It's reaching for you right now. So come as you are, not as you wish you were, not as you think others expect you to be, but as you are, tired, messy, doubting, hoping. That's where grace meets you. That's where healing begins. Because when grace finds you, it doesn't just restore what you lost. It reveals who you are. You are loved. You are seen. You are wanted. You are His. So breathe and let grace hold you. Let it rewrite the story shame tried to steal. Let it remind you that God's not done. In fact, He's just getting started.
True leadership isn't about power, it's about serving others. In Mark 10:43, Jesus teaches, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." Leadership is about humility, being willing to serve and care for those around you. Let love be the foundation of every leadership action in your life.